Ethan Cross had once believed in justice. A detective in a city choking on corruption, he'd put his faith in the law. He believed that if you chased truth hard enough, it would catch you, no matter how deep it hid. But 5 years ago, everything changed. The night was quiet, deceptively so. Ethan and Sarah had been sharing a simple dinner, laughing over burnt chicken and bad jokes. Their home, a modest suburban haven, felt safe, the kind of place you never expect danger to touch. Then, the door shattered. Masked men stormed in with one purpose: retrieve the hard drive. The evidence that could have brought down Marcus Steele, a man who ruled the city's dark underbelly with a ruthless grip. Ethan tried to protect Sarah, but he was too late. A gunshot echoed through the house, and Sarah collapsed, lifeless. Ethan's world fractured. The intruders vanished, and the city, soaked in greed and fear, turned its back. Marcus Steele's empire grew. The law Ethan had trusted turned a blind eye. 5 years passed. 5 years of sleepless nights and haunted dreams. Now, Ethan sat alone in a dim apartment cluttered with reminders of a life stolen. The photo of Sarah smiled at him from the desk, fragile and innocent. He brushed a trembling hand over it. They got away with murder, he thought. But not for long. His fingers traced the edges of a manila folder thick with files, newspaper clippings, court reports, leaked documents, all tied to Marcus Steele. Marcus, the untouchable. But Ethan was no longer the man who'd lost everything. He had a plan. The night air was sharp and biting as Ethan waited beneath a flickering street lamp on the outskirts of the city. The shadows pressed in close, but his resolve was a beacon. Detective Laura Reyes approached quietly. She was sharp, the kind of cop who wore her honesty like armor in a city full of lies. "You really want to do this?" she asked, her voice low. "Marcus Steele owns half this city. He's dangerous." Ethan's jaw clenched. "I don't care. He took everything from me. He needs to pay." Laura handed him a thick envelope. "This is what we have so far. Everything we could dig up without blowing our cover." Ethan opened it carefully. Financial records, transaction logs, lists of front companies, threads to pull that might unravel Steele's empire. "Thank you," Ethan said quietly. Laura nodded. "Be careful, Ethan. You're not just taking on a man, you're taking on an entire system." He looked up at the cold sky. "I'm done running." The weeks that followed were a blur of careful moves and stolen nights. Ethan slipped into Marcus Steele's world, a labyrinth of luxury, greed, and violence. He broke into the fortress-like office in a downtown skyscraper, high above the city lights. The room was sleek and cold, a monument to Steele's power. Ethan crouched behind a heavy oak desk, fingers flying over the keyboard, bypassing security protocols he'd learned years ago. Files downloaded, secrets uncovered. There were shipments of drugs disguised as legitimate goods, bribes paid to officials, orders for hits on anyone who dared cross Steele. And worst of all, proof that Steele's men had planned the attack that killed Sarah. Ethan's hands shook, but his resolve hardened. He wasn't just collecting evidence. He was preparing to strike. The night Ethan crept into Steele's mansion was stormy, the sky cracking open with thunder. Under the shadow of towering marble columns, Ethan moved like a ghost, cutting brake lines on a sleek black car parked in the driveway. Suddenly, a voice called out, "Who's there?" Ethan froze. The silhouette of a guard appeared, flashlight beam cutting through the rain. Without hesitation, Ethan slipped behind a hedge, heart pounding. Moments later, the guard moved on. Ethan exhaled slowly. The pieces were falling into place. Days later, Ethan found himself inside Marcus Steele's private club, a place of velvet shadows, expensive liquor, and dangerous deals. Marcus lounged in a leather chair, calm and cruel. "I wondered when you'd show up," Marcus said with a smirk. "Lost everything, and yet you come looking for ghosts." Ethan stepped forward, voice low and steady. "I'm not chasing ghosts. I'm here for justice." Marcus laughed, cold and hard. "You're a fool to think you can take me down. This city belongs to me." "It belonged to you," Ethan corrected. "Not anymore." The tension between them was a living thing, charged, volatile. Back in the city, Ethan met with Laura again. She revealed her true role, a cop working undercover to bring down Steele from within. "We can do this together," she said. "He's been untouchable because no one dares to face him head-on. But with what you have, with what I can do, we might just pull it off." Ethan looked at her, The first flicker of hope in years. Let's finish this. The final showdown came on a rain-soaked night at the industrial docks. Water sloshed beneath their boots as Ethan and Marcus faced off among shipping containers and cranes. You think this changes anything? Marcus spat. I built this city. I can crush you. Ethan's voice was fierce, steady. You built it on fear and death. Tonight, it ends. The fight was brutal. Rain mixed with sweat and blood. Fists landed, bodies slammed against cold steel. Neither man willing to back down. Police sirens screamed in the distance, growing closer. In the end, it was Ethan who stood, panting and battered, as Marcus was handcuffed and dragged away. Weeks later, the city was abuzz with news. Marcus Steele arrested on charges of corruption, murder, and conspiracy. Ethan stood at the edge of a quiet cemetery, the morning sun warming his face as he knelt beside Sarah's grave. He placed fresh flowers on the stone. Justice isn't just about revenge, he whispered. It's about peace. For the first time in 5 years, Ethan Cross felt something he hadn't known in a long time: hope.